Hello and welcome back to Chat About It. Don't shout about it with me, Rachel, the Queen of the Woke, as crowned by one of my haters. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed already. I really couldn't do this without you. I am still rocking the Sunny's looks. Yes, I have still got my allergic reaction. It's still very sore. So just bear with it. I'll be back to normal hopefully by next week. Now, rumours about Shruti Gatwa are flying absolutely everywhere since the Mr. H video, which was released a little while ago, made the rounds. In the midst of the rumours flying everywhere, it appears that some additional information has actually dropped about the next series. Some of this is just rumour, of course, and some things may have been confirmed by the sounds of it. So I'm going to take the opportunity in this video, as it is TV and Movie Monday, to address those rumours and any potential confirmed news. Now, please remember, it is okay to like the Disney Doctor Who if that's really what you like. Go for it. I myself have not been too enamored with it because it seems to more than have seriously dunked on the show that I loved, and I grew up watching classic episodes and then obviously into the new Who. So I'm going to start by throwing a spanner into the works. The man who is never online, so he doesn't know what social media is saying, Russell T Davies posted to his Instagram account the other day with this photograph that you see on the screen here. How ironic. He doesn't use social media but will post to Instagram. Interesting. Now, this, of course, naturally started to spark some rumors. Is the new series going ahead and it must have a green light? Well, I think that in this case, it is not that. I can't say if he was at Bad Wolf Studios that day. He may very well have been. I can't say otherwise, because I'm not with him. However, there was something to my eye that was majorly off with this photograph that you see on the screen. So much so that I asked one of my friends' opinion on it, and he came back with the same verdict that I had. Now, I thought that the depth perception of this photograph was off and that it may have been a green screen effect. My friend also thinks that it's a Photoshop of some kind. Now, the reason why I thought this is because the set behind him is way too big and he is way too big as well, and it just didn't match. It didn't look right, and the background behind him doesn't have any kind of blurring out as perhaps it would normally in an ordinary photograph. Potentially, I'm not a photograph expert, but I have seen plenty of photographs and had many photographs of me taken over the years, and it's just something that I actually noticed that may have been off. Let me just bring that to the big screen for you. I don't know if it'll make much difference. No, it didn't make much difference at all. But there you go. And another reason why I actually say this is because, well, unless things have actually changed in the last few years or so, it's actually common practice to take sets down in between filming and then put them back up when they're needed again. So there were a lot of rumors that were making the rounds the other day. Now, these were sent to me, but I believe they were making the rounds on Twitter, actually, X, whatever you want to call it. But it was sent to me by the Thinking. So thank you for that, Thinking. Okay, so please remember they are rumors. They were found on a Reddit, but let's see how they sound. Ruby won't be traveling with the Doctor for the majority of the season. She'll appear throughout, including in a Doctor Light episode where she will be working with Unit. She and the Doctor will reunite in the finale, however. Well, first up, why do we need another Doctor Light episode? If Shruti really is that amazing as the Doctor, as you're making out to be him to be, then you really don't need to do another Doctor Light episode, do you? He should be able to hold the show without it being Doctor Light. One of the better episodes last series was a Doctor Light episode that was held up by Millie Gibson herself, and that was, of course, 73 Yards. Now, as for Ruby not being in the TARDIS as much, well, that's what the last episode implied anyway, so that's not surprising at all. The series will include one returning monster, but no Daleks or Cybermen. Now, why do we need a returning monster when Ncuti isn't allowed to focus on past doctors to make his doctor a better doctor? What's good for the goose is good for the gander, right? So if this is true, then it'll probably be a problematic one like Sutek. Remember Sutek, who was so appropriated that RTD ended up having to appropriate himself, much like he had to change Davros because Davros was so problematic. Series 15 will continue to lean into fantasy. Well, fantasy, hasn't that already been done? Battlefield, Sylvester McCoy era. And I know that they did some fantasy with Matt Smith, so it's not that big a deal, right? Episode 2 will take place in 1950s Miami with a focus on the paranormal. We'll get an episode that takes place mostly on the TARDIS. Now, RTD hates them staying in the TARDIS for too long, so I can't imagine that actually being true. But then they spent so much on that set, which is very clear, and they barely use it, so maybe he's changed his mind. I highly doubt it. Murray Gold wrote a new original song for a scene that will take place during a concert on an alien planet. Ugh. So we're going back to Doctor Who, the musical, from the sounds of it. Okay, great. More jazz hands and tap dancing. Now, that sounds quite negative, I guess you could say, from me. My degree is musical theatre. Yeah, I don't really think that songs have much business being in Doctor Who. It would be how it's done, I think, in this case, and not the Devil's Called stuff. Jonah Hewer King will be playing Mrs. Flood's grandson. Sorry if I butchered that. Mrs. Flood will be the central antagonist of the finale, will involve her reshaping time and trapping the Doctor. I think that most of us by now have figured out that Mrs. F will be the antagonist in the next series because that's what she gave off in the last one. And it is a style that suits Anita Dobson very well. We all know she played Angie in EastEnders, and what a brilliant character that was. Now, I did theorize at first that it was possible that she was the Rani, and that was way, way, way back during the other series and when I was trying to work out what was going on and things like that. And I ended up changing my mind because I found that there's some confusion where the copyright to the Rani actually is, which explains why we have not actually seen her in the series since it has returned ever since the Christopher Eccleston era. It is believed that the rights actually remain with the Pip and Jane Baker estate. They are the writers who created the Rani, so therefore they actually hold the copyright for the Rani during the Colin Baker and Sylvester McCoy eras. And both of them have sadly actually passed away with no children. So this is why I actually think we're not going to be getting the Rani. So my newest theories are that she's either a trickster of some kind, the time meddler, or a word lord. So the trickster tends to make bargains and alters history and feeds off the chaos. That's kind of what we saw in Turn Left with the trickster brigade bug on Donna Noble's back. The time meddler was actually the name of a story from the original classic series where the monk was introduced. And he was a time lord who went against the sort of time lord's view of non-interference of time. He went against it. And then the other one, the Word Lord, has actually never been in TV Doctor Who. It actually comes from the audio dramas, and they are a race that are similar to the Time Lords, but words are their power instead, but they only have the power to make the changes when someone says a key word. So she could be a take on the Nobody No One Word Lord from the audio dramas. I mean, I'm just throwing these out there as speculation. I don't think I'm going to be that fully invested in it because I've developed this severe mistrust of where the series is going because the storytelling for the last series was so bad. It was so off, and I'm just so disappointed. It is not living up to the expectations that is that of Doctor Who. So it wouldn't actually be the first time that an audio has been adapted to the screen. Jubilee was adapted for Dalek, and of course Spare Parts was adapted as well. Mel will die in the finale, sacrificing herself to save Ruby and Belinda. This will leave the Doctor wanting to somewhat distance himself from humanity, fearing that he puts too many people in danger. So the Mel will die, and the Doctor goes into isolation. I will address a bit later, as I actually have something attached to that I want to get to. With the Doctor being out of reach during the events of the war between the land and the sea, gosh, that title is way too long. It will be revealed that the Master is now a prisoner of UNIT and he will be forced to help with the Sea Devil situation, finally giving him the chance to be the hero, kind of similar to Loki. And the Master will be played by Russell Tovey. Now, I would be surprised if the Master did come back. Now, here's the thing. I actually don't want him to. Much like in the classic, he's actually become overused. Having said that, if he was to return, then I would actually like to see an older one. It's not controversial, I don't think, to say that I would have liked to have seen the Derek Jacobi Master a lot more. The thing is, I really do not want them to bring back characters like the Trickster or the Monk, or introduce the Word Lord from the audio dramas, because I think those characters need to be left well alone. The Word Lord works really well within the confinements of the audio dramas, and it's a really great character, and I think with that type of character you can get away with a lot more of it being in the audio drama, because a lot leaves within mind's eye with that type of character with your imagination. And then I think because the Trickster and the Monk are actually classic characters, taking the classic character and being apologetic for it, which is probably what is most likely to happen, then I have issues with that. They did it with Sutek, they've done it with Davros. Now they're probably going to try and do it again, guaranteed. And if it is not the Trickster, and if it is not the Monk, then which character will they bring back that is problematic, or they want to actually change for the greater good, or in what their opinion is the greater good, rather than, you know, remembering that something was a product of its time. And the last rumor is Gugu Mbatha Raw will play a scientist activist siding with the Sea Devils. Okay, go figure. That's obviously to do with that unnecessary long title TV show that they've got coming up. Now, can I just also say, before I move on from these rumors, that this does not actually paint this version of the Doctor in a good light, how he should be. All we have is him taking himself off because he fears he is a danger to humanity. In actual fact, this is probably the only bit that sounds credible, because in the last series, he couldn't be the hero either. So why would he be the same in this one? The rumor has it that Mel is going to die. I know a lot of people didn't like Mel in the original series, but Big Finish worked really hard on her character development, and that has obviously helped Bonnie's portrayal a lot. Now, credit where credit is due. Russell T Davies has actually aged the character up well. I mean, he had no choice. He had to, without a doubt. And he's actually made her work in technology, which is what she's supposed to be doing. So, you know, I'll take my hat off to that. You know, you did it. So fine. I found this article from Denna the Geek, and this explores some ideas as to what actually may be revealed for Mel. Don't forget, I link everything below because these sites are so glitchy, even with ad blockers. So I screen cap everything now and make tiles because it's so much cleaner. So let's read it quickly. Doctor Who Series 15 is setting up a Mel Bush mystery. Ooh, who the heck is Mel Bush? Doctor Who's next series might finally tell us. In the Series 14 finale, Mel is targeted by Sutek while she's aboard the Remembered TARDIS. The Remembered TARDIS, that's such a weird way of saying it. Sutek whispers inside Mel's head and boasts of being able to find the living through time and space family. Now, I just perceived that to mean she was part of the TARDIS crew. That's what I perceived that to mean. I didn't go any deeper than that. Watching the episode with Langford and producer Vicky Dello, that last word prompted showrunner RTD to say, "What's the family line then, Mel? That's a big secret." Okay, so that's not so much hinting as flat out telling us that Mel's backstory is going to come into focus. And I really wish that it wouldn't. I'm just going to say that to you. I've just realized I'm still wearing sunglasses, so I need to remember, look up. And can I just say to you, because I know you can't look at my eyes right now because they hurt so much, but I really hope that they do actually leave Mel's backstory alone, because guaranteed they're going to make a mess of it. The casual viewer could easily be forgiven for wondering what Mel's backstory is. The thing is, so could long-term fans, because the origins of Melanie Bush are shrouded in mystery. Now, that is true. Denna the Geek then asks, how did Mel meet the Doctor? We don't know. What was Mel doing before she met the Doctor? We don't know. What year is Mel from? We don't know. Why don't we know any of this? Mel first appeared in the 9th episode of The Trial of the Time Lord, 1986, with the 6th Doctor, played by Colin Baker. This was the 23rd season of the show, and it consisted of one long storyline across 14 episodes. It was broken up into 4 segments, the first 3 of which were 4 episodes long and showed the Doctor's adventures as evidence at his trial, inspired by Charles Dickens's A Christmas Carol. The court was shown evidence from the Doctor's past, his present, well, his extremely recent past and future. And this is where Mel comes in, introduced in the Doctor's defense segment during an adventure from his future. The Doctor is currently on trial for his life and therefore may not have a future if this defense fails. This means that we just meet Mel when she's been traveling with the Doctor for a while and therefore don't have the usual introductory context. But you'd expect that the show would return to this plot strand later and show the Doctor meeting Mel for the first time. Now, we didn't find out this resolution because Colin Baker was fired after the trial of the Time Lord. What happened was the Doctor regenerated at the start of the Time and the Rani, and Bonnie Langford would then go on to appear with Sylvester McCoy, meaning that that plot point was never addressed. So Mel says that she was orphaned, but Davies commented about her family line being a big secret. He suggests we're going to find out who her parents were and if they pointed dramatically at anything significant. Potentially, we're going to get 3 Doctor Who series in a row. That's not going to happen because there's going to be a gap guaranteed where a character meets their long-lost mother figure. So they go on to say that Mel is essentially a blank slate because she doesn't have that backstory that would have been built if Colin Baker had actually stayed for his 3rd contractual season. But because he was fired, it was never addressed. Now, the article continues saying, so expect the speculation to commence. Get on board the wipe clean hype train. Season 2 will be the biggest mystery, the most dangerous foe, and all the usual razzmatazz. It's not musical theatre, darling. But also, we might find ourselves asking, is Mel actually Susan? No, she won't be Susan. Sorry. Does that mean that Mel and Susan will host the unit version of Bake Off? Is Mel the Doctor's daughter? I highly doubt it. Or the timeless child's twin. Really? That's a stretch. Or was she the Rani all along? Darling, we're not going to get the Rani, okay? I don't think so. But maybe we'll get an answer to the 38-year-old question, who the heck is Melanie Bush? I really hope that we don't get her backstory in many respects. Like, I would like to know, yeah, okay, because of the mess up with the classic series, I think some things are just best left well alone. I know that Big Finish have tried to fill it in, but it's not always necessarily. Look, they're trying to work out where, like, Bonnie would have, Mel, I should say, would have travelled in relation to Evelyn Smythe, the 6th Doctor. Evelyn Smythe is an audio companion, by the way. And they've tried to make it work. They've tried to fill in the gaps. There's no reason why perhaps then that if, because we do know that Doctor Who does adapt the Big Finish audios into the new Who series. There's no reason why perhaps they couldn't take some of that and actually put it to the forefront here. But I really don't want them to do that at the same time either. So I hope that they leave her backstory well and truly alone, because like I say, some things are best left alone in this regards. And I actually hope that we are not getting another Impossible Girl storyline. I really, really don't. I do not think it would do Mel any justice. The best and only Impossible Girl storyline that was ever done was the Donna Noble one. And it was just the right time, the right actress, and the right Doctor in the right place for that storyline to work. Plus, the Impossible Girl storyline was way overdone. Now, that's not the only rumor that has dropped. This next one seems to be more solid. I do apologize. We have done a lot in this video, but I wanted to get it all done. So we have a new villain, apparently, played by Archie Panjabi, and she's going to be in Doctor Who Season 2. So just read to you quickly what it says. The Good Wife star Archie Panjabi is reportedly set to play the role of the antagonist in the upcoming second season of the popular sci-fi drama Doctor Who. Details regarding her character remain under wraps. BBC and Disney Plus declined to comment for the story, reported the entertainment news outlet Deadline. Panjabi joins Ncuti Gatwa, who currently stars as the titular character, the Time Lord, and Millie Gibson, who plays his companion Ruby Sunday. So what do you think about this? Is this going down the DEI route? I think it might be, and I think we're going to see a lot more of that with the next series. So by the way, the official Doctor Who channel for the BBC have been releasing highlights. Go and have a look at them and see what their highlights actually are if you would like to put yourself through that. If not, don't bother. But yes, they are really, really trying to hammer it in for the last series, I think, here. So that was a really long video. I really do apologize, but let me know what you think about these rumors. Chat about it. Don't shout about it. Like the video if you would like to like the video, and subscribe. And thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time, which will be tomorrow at 4 p.m. Bye-bye.